The Charter of the United Nations was signed on the 26th of June 1945. Among the founding principles was a call to nations to practice tolerance and live together in peace with one another as good neighbours. Sadly, since Israel's rebirth in 1948, its Arab neighbours haven't fulfilled that commitment. It faced attack and had to defend itself in 1948, 1967 and 1973. And when the Arab nations finally realised that it couldn't defeat the tiny state of Israel militarily, it resorted to terror campaigns and a propaganda war designed to rewrite history and destabilise the world's only Jewish state. The United Nations was created to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. Instead, it has been made into a partner in a great deceit. In a world where Palestinian women are murdered and subjugated for the sake of male honour, where Iranian women are stoned to death for adultery, and Sudanese women are forced to give birth with their legs shackled for being Christian, the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women condemned just one democratic country in the region for violating the rights of women: Israel. Then there is the United Nations Human Rights Council. Its member includes Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Venezuela, nations where you risk your life and liberty if you express a dissenting opinion. In the 2014/15 United Nations session, 20 resolutions critical of Israel were passed, while human rights in Iran, Syria, and North Korea merited just one mention each. And then there is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO for short. This organization decided to rewrite history and passed a motion submitted by the Palestinians that ignored Judaism's ties to the religion's holiest site, the Western Wall. These examples demonstrate that the very nations that deny democratic rights to their people abuse the democratic forums of the United Nations to advance their interests. In fact, it may surprise you to learn that less than half of the 193 countries that comprise the United Nations are actually democracies, while there are champions for Israel and for peace. Like the US Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, and the UK's Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson, who have spoken about the absurdity of the United Nations. As we approach the centenary of the Balfour Declaration, it is important not just to celebrate this important milestone that led to the rebirth of Israel, but also to remember the challenges it had to overcome, and the challenges that it still faces. Let's remind our politicians why the United Nations must be held to account. Join our campaign and send a message to our politicians and the United Nations: stop the Israel bashing.